Today, the Florida Senate is debating the incredibly controversial Don't Say Gay bill. That's how it's referred to. One Republican speaking out in support of the bill on the day when it's expected that it might pass kind of revealed himself by accident. Admittedly, Dennis Baxley had been speaking for hours until you start to get a little bit punchy and you slip up. He was trying to make the point for hours and hours that this isn't really about gay individuals. It's not about attacking the kids. But take a look at what he ended up revealing in this video.
We're in a trending posture right now where, my son's a psychiatrist, and I said, why is everybody now all about coming out when you're in school? And there really is a dynamic of concern of how much of this are genuine type of experiences and how many of them are just kids trying on different kinds of things they hear about and different kinds of identities and experimenting. That's what kids do, maybe they're in this club or they're in that club or they're on to this. And they're trying on all these different identities of life, trying to see where they fit in. And it is simply, are we encouraging this or illuminating it by putting emphasis on it, or are we helping something? And I think 75% of people that I see, polled on this bill, they agree with me that there's something wrong with how we're emphasizing this, and that all of a sudden, overnight, they're a celebrity when they felt like they were nobody.
Okay, I want you to stop and think about how fundamentally insane Dennis it is, or that kids are just becoming celebrities by acknowledging who they are and expecting people to not vilify them as the result of that. How fundamental of a misunderstanding do you have to have of not even the modern world, the experience of kids in school, but the entire LGBTQ community, its history, the persecution of it, for you to have said any random 3 words from that sentence, David? How maddening that that guy is not just a commentator or a candidate. He is going to be voting on this. It's likely to pass because of people like him, and that's what he thinks about the people who it'll be attacking.
Yeah, no, the hate is just beyond clear. And if this guy is really concerned about celebrity and celebrity culture, okay, if we want to take you at your word about that, then why is it that you're drawing so much attention to having to identify people in a pejorative way, the way this bill would do? You're simply elevating the hatred. You're making hatred a celebrity in all of this, and that's not good for our kids and not good for our community. I just think people are, I get that if you're of a certain age, maybe like this guy in his late 60s or 70s, and maybe grew up in the 50s or whatever it is, I get that the world must seem very confusing to him. But you know what? That's what progress is. And at a certain point, I just wish people would say, we're making society more progressive. People are getting more rights. People are afraid to be who they are. Leave it at that.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. But no, they're moving in the exact opposite direction. He believes that all of a sudden, lots of kids are pretending to be gay. They're cosplaying their sexual orientation. No, dude, if more people are coming out, it's because, thank God, they've been given some indication that that won't result in not only persecution and verbal attacks and harassment, but violence as well. It's a sign that maybe some signals are being sent by our society that you can finally be accepted for being who you are, and they cannot stand that, and they will not accept that. And that is what this bill is all about. In case you don't know, it's gonna bar classroom instruction in public schools on sexual orientation or gender identity for children in kindergarten through 3rd grade, basically ages 5 to 9. It also prohibits teaching, quote, in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students. Can't wait to find out who's gonna be deciding the definitions of those things. No, this is about shutting down any discussion, historic understanding, and anything that might give rise to some acceptance for people in this community. It is about, like so much else, all the talk about the stop woke and the CRT. This is about closing their eyes, burying their head in the sand, and pretending that we are just as backwards as we were when that guy was in school back in the 1870s or whatever. I hope that we are not actually in that America, but it isn't just that they're denying it, they are moving us back towards that, David.
John, I wonder if there's also some self-loathing here. And I know this may seem a little bit too far afield, but I mean, the only way that somebody's sexuality could be a threat to me is if I was, somebody is gay and I felt threatened, it would be because maybe I have, gay impulses or attractions or whatever it is. So I wonder if these people who are really what's bothering them is not that people have, are gay or lesbian or whatever it is, but that they really are and that they've been repressing it. And they're fearful that somehow their repression is going to end. And so they create these walls to isolate people to somehow protect themselves. And, granted, there's some people just, I imagine there's some self-loathing that goes into all of this, but I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. I think that could be a part. And sometimes these generally Republican politicians will make a career of vigorously opposing any acknowledgement or compassion towards the LGBTQ community. And then the second they're no longer in office, they come out. That does happen. But also, there are a lot of straight people perfectly willing to vilify the community. So it's I'm sure a mix. In any event, I do want to show you a little bit of the students who continue to do great work in protesting against this bill, showing solidarity with kids like them. You can see some of that happening right there. I believe we actually have a little bit of video that we can go to of the protests at the Florida Capitol. And honestly, it's a cliche, but you love to see it. You love to see these kids showing that, yeah, you can keep trying to throw up these roadblocks, and they're awful and they're damaging. This is not just a symbol. This is going to make people's lives demonstrably worse. But the kids are so much better than these dinosaurs, these relics who are trying to, fit them into this 1920s box. And they need support. It is not enough to simply point to young activists and say, well, we don't got to worry, we don't got to do anything, because inevitably they're just going to make the world better. That's not actually how it works, but it is a great thing to have, to know that the next generation, at least on some topics, definitely gets it in a way that so many others did not.
And it's not just the progressives and liberals. Polling shows that most conservative younger people under the age of 25 also support LGBTQ rights and have a far more progressive view on social issues than their conservative or right-wing parents. So there is something generational about this that does give me some hope. At a certain point, I just wish these older farts who, with their hatred and homophobia, I don't want to wish anybody would just sort of die off, but maybe they could just go away.
Yeah, you can stay alive. Just go to Desert Island, just stay there. Just go make that the place where you don't say gay.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.